Good day, Billings. My name is Neil Beyer, residential realtor with the ELEPHAS Real Estate Group, and it is time once again for another edition of the Billings Beat. Today I'm thrilled to be speaking with John Krise, Billings Regional Director for Child Bridge, a faith-based organization focused on finding and equipping foster and adoptive families for Montana children who have suffered abuse and neglect. John is originally from Pennsylvania, but has been living in Montana since January of 2000. Prior to working at Child Bridge, John was the campus director for Chi Alpha, an international and interdenominational student Christian fellowship on the MSUB campus. I've had the privilege of knowing John for several years now, and as long as I've known him, he has been an active and engaged member of the Billings community, positively impacting the lives of those around him. John, thank you for taking the time to speak with me about Child Bridge and the work you and your colleagues do to help and assist foster children and adoptive families. To begin our conversation, can you tell us more about what Child Bridge does?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's just a privilege to be able to be here and just to get to share more about Child Bridge. Really, our heart is that we want to find and equip foster families. And so that really deals with recruitment of families into foster care, sharing about the need of what's going on, but then also equipping them so that they don't just get into it and feel like they're kind of out there on their own, but really walking through, side by side with them as they're fostering, and giving them kind of the tools so that they can really thrive as foster parents.
How do they find you, and how do they get involved, or how do they get your support?
So if you are currently licensed as a foster parent, or if you are interested in becoming a foster parent, you can reach out to us at childbridgemontana.org. That's our website that you can go to, and you can actually sign up there, no matter where you are across the state of Montana, and that will actually kind of filter you to the proper person in the right part of the state to get connected with you.
Right.
Because as an organization, we're not just here in Billings where we're having the interview. We're actually spread all across the state, from up in Kalispell, Big Fork, all the way even over to Glendive area,
Right.
kind of and along the I-90 corridor there.
The work you're doing is fantastic. I mean, I couldn't imagine being a parent myself and the challenges I face as a parent, and then to face those additional hurdles and challenges that I'm sure exist when you're raising foster children. So amazing work.
No, thanks. It's really quite rewarding.
Yeah.
You get to meet and see these families who are bringing other, foster kiddos and adoptive kiddos into their homes.
Yeah.
And you're getting to see as their families grow, just getting to hear these awesome and wonderful stories of their lives. And just as they're living life together. And there's a lot of encouragement that you just really get to see from that, of people growing together and lives just being changed just by families providing a safe and a healthy place for a kid to be a kid.
But I imagine that Child Bridge has a mission statement. What is that mission statement?
Yeah, and really it's that we want to find and equip foster and adoptive families for Montana children who suffer abuse and neglect. And so we really talk, our executive director, Jenna Taylor, had mentioned once, she said, that we really want to find families and equip families as being kind of the two pillars of what we do. And so it's that whole thing of how do we recruit and then just equip the families so that they can just do an amazing job and the best they can so that they feel resourced in that way.
And unfortunately, there's a huge need for these resources, right? I mean, I personally don't know what the data is. Do you know what the numbers are in terms of the number of children that are in the system right now?
Yeah, and so across Montana, we have a little over 3,000 kids that are in foster care and in the state system. And in Yellowstone County, Billings, we have 720 here.
Wow.
So there's roughly, a quarter, almost of the kids who are in foster care who are right here in Billings. And so we've really set that goal this year to find in the Billings region 40 new families.
And I imagine that there's several examples you can share of recent accomplishments that Child Bridge has had, accomplishments that they've been able to celebrate. Can you share possibly some of those with us?
Yeah, within the last year, we've had across the state 53, I believe, adoptions.
Wow.
That have happened.
That's huge.
Yeah, and it's just been this amazing thing where we've seen, those kids coming into their, permanent homes. And I also get really excited as we've continued to see, I think 94 families last year really showed up despite COVID and all the weird things that had happened. had said, hey, we want to sign up and begin the foster process. And so we get to see that really numerically over this last year, we're seeing some good growth moving forward. Despite a really hard year where things were slowed down. And so I think I'm really excited even just looking forward of what's really possible here.
Right. What is that process if someone wants to be a foster parent?
Yeah. So, I mean, to be a ChildBridge supported family, we would encourage, going to our website, and there's something after we'll meet with you and have a discussion. We'll actually then, you'll sign up an application for the family foster bio thing that we do. And so that really just gets you into our system, but then we'll introduce you to the state. And just as like a way of saying, hey, here's a family, we've talked with them, we want to, say, they're interested in foster care. And that begins, there's a written application, there's things like there's a home study just to find out, is your house, a safe place to bring kids into. They do some background checks and these types of things and whatnot. Just really that due diligence to make sure that this is a, safe and a good place for the kids to go to. And so that can take, ideally they'd like that to be a 6-month process. Sometimes it can take a little longer than that. And so, but that's really the whole thing. There's some just different pieces there that you get to move through. Once those are done, then though you'll get licensed and begin to get placements in those things.
Can you share some stories, 1 or 2 stories of individuals whose lives have been changed because of the work of ChildBridge? Specific stories. So
I think one of the stories really that comes to mind is, I think of one of our families here who there was a mother who had a drug addiction, and she was doing meth, and the baby, when it was born, actually had some meth built up in its system, and just this child has woken up many times just in the night, with just hardship, with screaming as this kind of its body's detoxing and those things, but literally seeing this family love this child and walk through just a hard time as this child's doing some detoxing of its system, as they continue just to love that child where it's at, and really beginning to see that child as part of their family just continue to find healing and growth and health. And to me, that's one of my really favorite stories with ChildBridge that I've seen, of just that a family would say, hey, we are going to love on this child, and we're going to
unconditionally.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful I think just example, being a faith-based organization, we talk a lot about just, God's love. And I think that's just a beautiful example of the expression of what the love of God is like, that a family would offer themselves in that way to this, so.
To essentially, I mean, a child, but a stranger, right? I mean, and it also says something about, I think, people in general, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think so often we're caught up with the negative, but there's so much good out there and so many amazing people. And to hear these stories is magnificent.
No, I think that's definitely been just a huge blessing of being here. You get to see people, just that self-sacrifice. You see the goodness in people, and it's an encouragement. You just get to go to work and see that throughout the day. So.
Restores your faith in humankind. What do you enjoy about working at ChildBridge?
Honestly, it's been a wonderful organization just to be a part of. I think what initially drew me to ChildBridge as I began to meet people, as somebody who had no connection to the foster care at all before this, really, not much. I just began to meet the people who work here and began to see their heart and their passion and their compassion for foster care and the foster crisis in Montana. And it just became that contagious, like, wow, this is something that's they've just poured themselves out as they're fostering themselves many and doing these things. They'd have just this vision of, we can really make a difference in a child's life. And I think that was hugely contagious to me.
No, absolutely.
And I think also with that, I've just loved that. I mean, just the mission itself of how do we find and equip families for these children who've suffered abuse and neglect from these hard places. And
I'm getting goosebumps because it's just so much good going on here, to the work you guys are doing to give really the greatest gift that someone can give, a loving, supportive family to these children who have faced such difficulty and heartache at a young period in their lives. It's outstanding, it's making me emotional.
No, I think I think one of the other things is we can so often see people in a place of hurt, and we can think, oh, this child is broken, this child is wounded, but there's hurt they have, there's trauma. But I think you see the resilience
Yeah.
of these kids as they just, have that safe place to heal. And I think those are some of the things as I've begun to meet some of the kids, who are in our Child Bridge families. You're like, wow, this child's amazing. And there's so many of them that I'm just like, we did a barbecue a little while ago with just a couple of small families that had come. And it was just this amazing thing one of the kids came running up and just wanted me to pick him up and hold them. And it was just this awesome thing as I just got to like connect and talk with this little kiddo, who's just this young little guy. Yeah. And it was just that blessing of like, wow, you get to touch and be a part of their lives in that way. And I just love that.
Yeah. Do you have a most memorable experience you've had while you've been here at Child Bridge?
I think some of the big things is if you see a healthy reunification of the child back with the biological family in a way that it's good for the kiddo and that this good thing happens. That's obviously one of the primary objective of the state is that that's what's going to happen, that if a child can be reunited with its healthy biological family. And so you see that healing and those things has taken place. But then also in other situations where I think I've just loved some of these circumstances of seeing either permanency happen or adoption happen with some of these kiddos who they're finding homes, forever families in that way.
Biggest challenges for Child Bridge?
I think really the biggest challenge right now is trying to find families. I just say if it's something where you're like, I have a heart that I would love to do foster care, I would love to learn more about this, please jump on our website at childbridgemontana.org, and we'd love to really connect with you and begin to get you move down the road on that whole process. That's really the biggest need that we have right now, and kind of that as well as creating that awareness of here's the need and here's what we can do about this. I'd like to, I guess, not everybody in the same breath that was also called or equipped or necessarily to do foster care. So if you're like, well, that's not for me, I don't think I could foster. What can you do about it? Do you have friends who are fostering kiddos, or then how can you rally around them and support them? If you're a person of faith, praying about it. Pray for more families that will be able to come in. Another thing you could also do, we're completely privately funded organization, and people said, hey, I can partner alongside you financially this month, either a month or a one-time gift. Those types of things are ways that we're able to continue to do, and those partnerships are really huge for us that allow us to just continue to do what we do.
Does the website allow donations directly on the website?
Yeah, if you go to the website, there actually is there's a button, Give Now. It should be in the upper right-hand corner of it.
Okay. And they can donate once. Can they also donate over a period of time and have that automatically done on a monthly basis or whatever it may be?
Yeah, there's many different options for that. There's even estates options if somebody wants to set up things as far as with their estates for future purposes and whatnot.
What does it cost to place a child? I'd imagine it's quite expensive, and I know that's not your role, but I'm just curious.
Well, I like to think that the cost of not doing anything is really huge. If you want to begin to look numerically on some of these things, I'm not sure what the specific cost is all told to actually get a child placed, but what we're finding, what the states, different numbers, show is that a quarter of the kids who age out of foster care without getting connected to a family, 25% of them will end up being homeless by the age of 21. Less than 50% are going to graduate high school. 71% of the women who graduate by the age of 21 will become single moms. And then 77%, so almost 80%, almost 4 out of 5, will end up being arrested.
So big picture, while donations go directly to these children who need help and support and placement in foster homes, and the foster parents who benefit from the support that you guys provide, big picture, by helping and donating to Child Bridge, they are investing in the community, in the state, and the country.
Yeah. One of the other big things too is that it takes roughly over the course of somebody's life who's aged out of the foster care system and not been connected with a family, it costs the state about $300,000 over that lifetime in goods and resources in that way. And so, for those of you who like the math and the numbers in that way, if that speaks to you, like that's a big impact.
Absolutely.
And that's why one of the reasons why we're like we really need to find and equip these families.
John, thank you so much for your time. As I said, you're someone I always admired, and the work you're doing is spectacular. I think, as I said during the interview, that the gift you are helping or being involved in, not only to be an intermediary in helping families get involved in the foster care system, but then also providing them with the tools, resources, and knowledge to do it successfully. You know, it's amazing, and it's such a great contribution to our community, and not only in the individual lives that you touch and impact, and that Child Bridge touches and impacts, but the impact, the larger impact it has on the community, the state, and the country. You know, so thank you for doing the little part that you do to make big differences in people's lives.
You're welcome. Thank you. I feel like we've got such a wonderful team here across the state with Child Bridge that it's just always, it's so much fun just to be able to be a part of it and just get to do what we do. So yeah, awesome. And thank you for the opportunity to share. I really
no,
appreciate
absolutely.
This, so.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. And with that, Billings community, thank you so much for watching. We're very grateful to you as well. I hope that you had the opportunity to learn something about Child Bridge and how you may be able to contribute to the challenges that we face with our foster care system and the children who need assistance, whether it's financial or otherwise. If you're able to give $5, $10 to Child Bridge to help them with the monumental challenges that they're trying to find resources for and solutions for, that'd be outstanding. If you're interested in learning more about how you can become a foster parent, they are here to consult and provide you with guidance and connect you to the government, who can then you can move forward with the application process. Anyways, with that, thank you so much. This is another edition of the Billings Beat. This is Neil Beyer with the ELEPHAS Real Estate Group. We'll see you next time. Cheers. Bye-bye.